Some are concerned that Mark Carney's move to hit the U.S. with dollar-for-dollar tariffs could backfire, warnings it could drive up costs for Canadian businesses that are already weathering the trade war.
The list is dominated by industrial supplies and capital goods, as they're targeting consumer goods and food. Much more immediate negative impact.
Starting September 8th, Canada will impose 15, 25, or 50% duties on a range of American goods, but most of those countermeasures aren't hitting things you buy off a store shelf. They're things that businesses use to operate, like steel, machinery, paper, and equipment. That could mean higher costs for companies that rely on those American imports. Feds are promising $7.5 billion in financial support for affected businesses and workers, which some fear will not be enough to offset the blow. Now, if your business is helping other businesses get their products across the border, you're facing a mess right now. Lisa McEwan's in that boat. She's the co-owner of Hemisphere Freight and Brokerage Services. Lisa, good morning to you.
Good morning.
How's things?
I mean, it's been pretty rough. The weekend, we kind of expected some sort of negotiation to happen. Most likely tariffs weren't going to exactly go away. We figured like a baseline of 10%, but 50% is probably worst case scenario.
Because
then yesterday's development was another big blow.
When you are talking 15, 25, 50% or 50 from the Americans, does that just halt the trade altogether?
No, because I had a lot of shipments that left on Friday, got picked up in Canada, and are going to be delivered on Monday. So which means that everyone that thought everything was fine, their goods were going to be covered under USMCA on Friday, got hit with a 50% tariff with goods already moving. So they can't do anything about it.
And so now they have to pay that tariff, which
So for instance, I had like a $300,000 machine that left on Friday, got released in the US on Monday. So that's $150,000 that they owe. And there's no way of going against it.
Well, let's talk about that, because we were always told that American tariffs are paid by Americans and these Canadian counter-tariffs will be paid by Canadians. What is your practical experience about who is absorbing the cost?
So for the U.S. side, it's usually Canadian manufacturers. It's, small businesses. I have a client that imports sweatshirts into the United States. He's been okay recently because everything's been covered under USMCA. But now he's going to be hit with a 50% tariff, and most industries don't operate at a 50% margin. Now, so they're going to be crushed.
Why is the Canadian exporter paying when it should be the American importer?
So most exporters act as what's called a non-resident importer, which means that they basically handle all the importing costs. So that way, when they sell it to their U.S. client, it's a landed cost to them.
So they're playing both sides of the equation and then have to try to basically get more money when they're selling that product in the U.S., which I suppose might not be possible.
Yeah, so I would say 80% of my U.S. importers are actually Canadian manufacturers. So they're the ones that are paying. So the Canadian economy is going to be paying the U.S. tariff.
Where do you stand in the midst of all of this? Obviously, it's messy times for you trying to advise your clients and just move all of this product. But as you look at the back and forth, the unpredictability of it, the tariffs, the counter tariffs, the reaction, the promise of even more, where do you sit in your mind in all of this?
I think it's absolutely crazy. It's not sustainable at all. The Canadian government, they've outlined some remission orders for all the money coming in that can hopefully go back to Canadian businesses. But it's definitely not sustainable. Most industries don't operate at a 50% margin, and most small businesses' cash flows can't sustain this at all. So for instance, if you import something into the United States, 10 days after release, you owe the Canadian government all that tariff. And on the Canadian side, at the end of the month, you have to pay anything that was imported within that month. So any tariffs, duty, GST, everything has to be paid up front. Otherwise, you get penalties and interest. So for a cash flow standpoint, that's crippling.
Yeah, because if you, to use the example of the $300,000 machine, you're saying who has $150,000 cash flow just sitting around?
Yeah, and in 10 days. And if you don't pay it, then you get a penalty, then you get interest, then you can't import anymore. Maybe they seize your property. You're talking about governments not getting paid, right?
Where do you think we're heading?
I think both sides know that this is not sustainable, absolutely at all. So hopefully we'll be coming into some sort of negotiation, but I don't think tariffs are ever going to go away. I think that we'll see the steel, we'll see the aluminum probably stay at 50%. And then I'm hoping to at least get at a baseline of 10%.
You talk to Americans on the other side all the time. What are you hearing when you have those phone conversations, those emails, those texts?
I think they're really frustrated as well, because at this point in time, like, everyone's getting hurt. Everyone can't, like, there's only so much that you can increase your prices for to your end consumer before, you know, everyone just says, okay, like, enough. So I think everyone's just, this can't even be navigated properly. So most people at this point have to just stop importing and have to take a pause, use the inventories that they have right now, and hope for the best in the next coming weeks.
Lisa McEwan, really appreciate your time this morning, giving us insight into the mess of a world you've got going on right now. Thanks a lot.
I know, let's hope for some good stuff coming our way, for sure.